Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Joseph. I hope everyone's doing well today. So in today's video I'll be elaborating on the save and load system I released last week and basically showing you how to create objects using a read file. So this is a little bit more complicated for you guys, and if you're a bit confused, make sure to ask questions. This system is something I developed a while ago, and it uses a bit of a finicky tool called asset get index, which I'll show you guys. It most likely needs its own video. But before I begin that, I just need to say you guys are amazing. I have to thank you again for all the interaction on the channel. And yeah, we'll get into it now. So, what you'll see here is I've got two objects, a room creator and a object wall. The first thing I'm actually going to show you is the room. So all the room has is a room creator, plain and simple. All this program does is it reads from a text file basically and creates objects. So if I boot it up, I'll show you the drawer first. The drawer is just being used to diagnose issues I've been working through for the past hour in this program. I've also remembered to increase the text size. So if I go to the create function, this is where it may look a little bit overwhelming because there's a few things going on array-wise, because it's just the most efficient way to store and track items. So I'm just going to make my screen a little bit bigger. So you'll see here I've got an array for tracking objects. That will become important later because I'm going to look at how to create a save system as well, but that gets even more finicky because we have to check and cross-reference arrays. So basically I've got a variable set for the load function. So this just grabs the ID used by the load. I've set a name and a value as well, so I can change this whenever I want. You could in theory tie this to your room. So if I wanted to call it room 0, so I should be able to do room get name, I'm pretty sure is all I need. And that should pull the room ID. I think it's room capture. Let's try that. That could break the program, but we'll see. Next step is the line count, which is important. It tells the program how many lines it has. Then it's the array name for the object, which is case sensitive. Be mindful of that. A layer, because Gamemaker introduced the layer function, an X and a Y, and then the guts of the program. So the first step of the program is to even make sure the file exists. So if I drag this over here, you'll see nothing. I don't have the file in my app data file position at the moment. So first thing it's going to do is crash out and say, I don't have this. So none of this will go through, but we'll still run through the code here. It will go grab the line count, then it will jump to the next line using a read-in. Then it goes through a for loop. The for loop goes through each of the 4 characteristics I need to create an object, which is X, Y, layer, and name. Those are just the ones I arbitrarily dictated to put in the program. We could extend that, you could attach health, you could do all kinds of things. Then you close the file as always because we don't want to create memory leaks. So if the file crashes out, which is what it's going to do on the first round that it runs, it's just going to generate the file, just so then it's got something to reference next time it tries to load. The next step, which was a nightmare for me because it just didn't want to work until I played around with it, was this for loop here. So all this for loop does is it just grabs the line count, takes 1 from the line count, because arrays start at 0 and not 1, so that just is the correction there. And then basically each time the program runs once, it saves a object ID, so I can track that back later on. That's just redundancy building there. And I do an instance create. I create from the X, the Y position that I've saved, the layer height that I've saved. And this is where some witchcraft comes into it with good old Gamemaker. Asset get index. Very powerful because I can then reference and create indexes in here, reference it through here, save it as a string, and then pull it back into my game. So let's run the program and see what it does after that. A very lengthy explanation. So when I run it, it's going to go through, it's going to give me an error, which is what I thought it was going to do. So that means this here does not work. So let me just revert that. room 00 dot txt. It's most likely I've got the txt is why it crashed out. If I run it again now, it will run. And if I drag this over, you're going to see that I get my room.txt. Just to prove to you guys it works. There you go. You can see that it generates it once it first loads. So now that I can drag that back over here, let me grab the text file and I'll show you guys kind of how this works. So as a bad rule of programming, I haven't populated this, which makes our lives a little harder. I know how the program works, so I can write my information in here. So let's do 3 lines to start with. So the first line as it reads will always be the line grab and then a for loop. So line grab, I want 3 lines, so I need to input 4 sets of data. I need to do object wall as my first line grab. My next is height, which I'm pretty sure actually has to be 1. I tried it with 0 and it broke from memory. We'll see. It's always the fun part with the experimentation here. My X and my Y, so I'm going to do 50 and 50. Oh, no, I have chosen a very poor number here. 64 and 64. 96 and 64. 64 and 96. If I hit save, let's see what that does. So I'm just going to drag that over there. Let's run the program. Does nothing. Why did you do nothing? It's going to be the layer height. Let's try that. I'm pretty sure that's the layer height thing. I always forget that. I think it has to be a 0. Yep. Beautiful. So you can see now I've generated walls. But in my room object, there's none. And that's because the text file is directly reading from my assets list. So for an example, if I want to go and put in a tree now, so if I go create a new object, I'm going to create an object called object tree, like so, and let's create a fantastically drawn sprite for it. So let's create a new sprite. Let's call this sprite tree. Edit image. Oh, sorry. How do I go back again? I'm still getting used to the damn text editor. Even after all this time, I still don't like it. Not text editor, the sprite editor. Let's just get a nice circle going on here, because we do complicated things at this studio. And I'll just do a couple of lines to indicate going up in height. So that's my awesome tree. So I can close that, scroll back up. You can see I've got tree, and I'm not going to make any other modifications. In here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new line, and I'm going to go object tree. And my object positioning here will be, I don't know, about 80 and 80-ish. And I need to change my line read to 4. Save. And now when I run the program, let's see what it does. Oh, that is not a great placement. Let's try that again. Let's go 110 by 110-ish. Let's try that again and see what it does. There you go. So now you see I've got this object tree, and I've only just created it, and I've plugged it right into this text file here, which then reads through. So that was today's tutorial. Leave the feedback, let me know what you think, like the video, the usual stuff. I have to thank you guys again. You guys are all really quite amazing. You guys are what make this channel work. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye bye.